So I know we've only got 20 minutes this morning, so I'm going to start dead on 10. And if people start to filter in after, they can always catch up on the recording. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Copilot use cases webinar for the finance department today. We've got the lovely Angela, a Copilot specialist who you may have seen before if you've attended any of our other Copilot webinars. I know we've done HR and we've also done marketing this week. So Angela is going to be showing some day in the life demos within the finance department, within the commonly used Microsoft applications like Word, Excel and Outlook, particularly Excel this webinar. So it's being recorded. So don't worry if you need to go back and have a look at anything. It will be emailed out to you. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat and we will hopefully get time for them at the end. Otherwise, Angela, I will hand over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. So I'm really excited to deliver this webinar to you today, all around Copilot for Finance. This is a bit of an agenda of what I'll be going through in terms of, where people sit in finance, what typical roles that you might be doing on a day-to-day basis. And then I'll be painting a better picture through some demos as well. If we have time, we'll open up for questions at the end, but we'll also share any kind of resources that you can utilize just to gain a little bit more inspiration at the end. So let's talk about different types of roles that you might be doing within finance. You might hold several of these in one role, which is fine, but you might be reconciliating data, comparing payments with invoices, chasing payments, creating reports, etc. But that also might be eating into a lot of your time when it comes to chasing payments or providing that report that's presentable for stakeholders, etc. And as I said, what I'll be doing today is really bringing it to light as to how is Copilot going to alleviate those kind of repetitive tasks, so you can focus more on the analysis piece as opposed to trying to find that formula on a search engine, for example. So the main stuff that I'm going to be going through is I'll build up on them. So a lot of them, the first couple of ones will be quite basic when it comes to just organizing your spreadsheet, and then we'll be going into analysis, a reconciliation of data, cash flow forecasts as well, and also visualizing data. So hopefully you'll find all of these interesting, and let's get straight into it. So as I said, we'll start off with the basics and we'll build up on this. Obviously your spreadsheet will be a lot more in depth than my one, but we're going to start off with one of the capabilities that you can do. So I've got customers' names on the left-hand side with their surnames, etc. And I've basically asked Copilot to separate first name and surname into different columns. And I'm not Excel savvy, believe it or not. So I will be talking to Copilot in very natural language. I won't be adding any kind of formulas for Copilot to rewrite, which you can do. But I'm just trying to show you it can go from basic use all the way to advanced use. And Copilot has basically highlighted everything within that spreadsheet and has given me on the right hand side how it's going to look, and I've implemented it within my table, and it's split the first name and surname apart. So that's quite basic in terms of how you can organize your spreadsheet. Another way to organize it is a lot of the times the format might be slightly off. So as you can see on the left hand side, there's a couple of spaces, extra spaces in between the first name and surname. Some are not capitalized at the beginning, etc. So I've basically asked Copilot to tidy it up and make sure it's unified as well. And Copilot has come back and has given me a little bit of a formula, and I didn't know what to do with that. So I said, what do I do with it? And obviously your spelling doesn't need to be 100% accurate. This Copilot still understands, and I followed Copilot's instructions and inputted it into B2, not knowing what that formula is, and it has done exactly what I wanted, and it has made it more uniform. Okay, so let's get into the more interesting parts in terms of how are you going to start to analyze data. Okay, so you don't have to look into this spreadsheet in too much detail because this is just for demo purposes, but let's have a look at this. So we've got bakery goods on the left-hand side. We've got revenue of November and December, quantity sold, profit made. So there's quite a lot going on within my table. And when you start to use Copilot, one of the key things you need to do is make sure your spreadsheet is in a table format. Okay, if it's not in a table format, then it might start to miss out some numerical values. You don't want that. So just choose the format that you want and on the top ribbon there, save it, and then you're ready to go. So we're going to click onto Copilot on the top right hand side, and it opens up a side panel. So Copilot is integrated within all of your Office applications like Excel, and it gives you some suggested prompts. I'm going to click on create formulas, and Copilot is going to suggest a formula that I may have not thought about to include within my table, and it's suggesting revenue growth, so the differences between the first two columns, November and December. You can learn that formula if you prefer, or you can just look below and there's a pre-window of how it's going to look if you implemented that formula. If you hover over insert column, it will show you how it's going to look. If you're happy with it, just click onto insert column and it would embed it within your table. And that's given me some inspiration. So I'm going to ask Copilot to do the same thing. So create me another column of revenue growth, but I want it in pound format. So I'm not changing it because I'm actually happy with the percentages. I just want an extra column. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to grow your table as large as how my table is going to be by the end of the demo. I'm just trying to show you as many capabilities as I can within Excel within a short amount of time. So there we go. We're going to click onto insert column, and as you can see, that's exactly what I wanted. So all of everything in pound format, so we can know exactly how much it's increased and decreased by. I'm going to show you some conditional formatting. So those of you that has joined and may not know, I'm sure you all do, it's basically highlighting all of the cells or specific cells on a table if it meets a certain condition. So my one would be if there's any profit of under £1,000, I want it highlighted in red, the entire row. I typed in apply a conditional format. You can just say highlight the entire row. It's up to you. It said highlight it in red. That's because I mentioned it in my prompt. Clicked on apply and it's done it for me. A common question that I do get is, can I change it? Is it, is it embedded within the settings of conditional formatting? Yes, it is. So you can go ahead and change it if you wish to and go back into your conditional formatting settings. I've asked Copilot to do the same thing, but for over £3,500 in green. So now we can see there's a lot more bakery goods that are doing well in the profit side, which is nice. You don't always have to do conditional formatting, highlighting cells and colors. You can also add icons with Copilot. So I'm asking Copilot, can you add me some arrow icons? If we all focus on column I is profit percentage. So any arrow that is pointing downwards needs to present anything under 40%. So in a traffic cone system. If we click on apply, as you can see, it's embedded those icons within that column. So you can add icons, you don't just have to color cells. Now, if we move back to the last couple of columns, which is revenue growth, hopefully you can see couple of minus figures on the last column, which means it's dropped between both months, November and December. And I'm not going to manipulate the last column because there's already a couple of conditional formattings that are going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Copilot to create me another column and state red, amber, green. Okay, red is anything in the minus figures, green, anything over £1,000 for revenue growth, amber, anything in the middle. And same thing, it will give me the formula. If you want to learn, you can, and then you can just click on insert column just to see how it's going to look if you embed it. And this is obviously quite important as well, because I haven't refreshed my chat history, which you can, but I haven't. So for good reason, because next thing I'm going to do is going to tell Copilot, fill the cells with colors. Now, there is a way of speaking to Copilot and you need to be specific, but I wasn't very specific. I didn't mention what colors, I didn't mention what cells, but Copilot understands I did want red, amber, green. And if I click on apply, it applies it in the right column. That's because Copilot understands your conversation previously. So if you ever feel like Copilot is getting confused and it's referring to something you asked 5 minutes ago and you're talking about something completely different, you just need to refresh your chat history and then Copilot will follow your instructions. Otherwise, you don't always have to be specific, and you can just carry on that flow of conversation and Copilot understands. My favorite part, as I said, I'm not an Excel whiz. I'm going to ask Copilot to show me some data insights. Okay, if you want a specific graph, then mention what graph do you want? What do you want it to look at? I just want some examples. And Copilot is coming back with revenue growth. There are a lot of bakery goods that are not moving between both months, are sitting in the amber. You can keep that if you like, but I'm going to show you some more. So if you scroll down, it will give you a little bit of a blurb of what's going on, but I'm going to click onto the last option, which is add all insights to basically a new grid, and it will show you all of the visual representations that are going on your table. Maybe you've only thought of one or two trends, and Copilot is giving you more. They're not static. You can change them. So you can change the axes, you can change the colors. It even complements it with pivot tables as well. So you can filter through the bakery goods. Okay, so that's more for, I would say, basic to moderate use, but again, you can go more advanced. So we're still on our same table, but this time I'm going to type in, create me a dashboard using Python. Python is advanced coding. Some of you may know the coding already, but you might not always have to use your own coding. You can get Copilot to run it for you. Copilot is going to say, do you want to start advanced analysis? I'm going to click onto that. It creates me another sheet. On the right-hand side, it's going to start to run the formula. You can even see there's a couple of formulas that are already running at the moment. And it's going to create me basically like a mini business intelligence dashboard within Excel. So as you can see, it has created me visual representations slightly different to the ones that you've just seen previously. I'll expand on it so you can see it. So now you can see revenue growth, profit percentage, a correlation between expenses and profit. So lots of different variations. These are static now. Okay, these are images. You cannot change them. That is because I specifically asked for a dashboard, which means if you have got a master spreadsheet that is constantly being modified by several members of the team, like for example, we go back, we increase the quantity sold for the first bakery good that I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to 50,000 units. If we go back into our dashboard, you can see it updates in real time. So really, really good to see like visual representations using a dashboard running Python coding through Copilot. Okay, so you can create dashboards in seconds. Now, the next thing that I'm going to show you is how to basically you can get Copilot to create you a formula, but you can get Copilot to understand a certain formula as well. So let's say you've just joined, for example, and you've just got been sent a spreadsheet and that wasn't a spreadsheet that you created. You can just ask Copilot, what does this mean? And that's exactly what I've done. And on the right hand side, you can see this is the formula, and it also gives you a written explanation of what it actually means. So if anything's less than 0, that is in red. Anything between 0 and 1,000, it's amber, etc. Okay, so you can almost reverse engineer formulas. So yeah, you don't have to go on a search engine anymore, like Google or Bing or even another AI tool to understand what formula should I be using for this particular scenario. Ask Copilot. If you don't understand a certain formula, ask Copilot and it's going to explain to you what it is. Okay, so what I've done is I've asked, now what we've got is revenue between 2021 and 2025, okay? So between all the months, all the 12 months. And I've asked Copilot to run me a pivot table. As you've seen on my previous demos, Copilot can help you create pivot tables. So that's quite, hopefully you get that idea now. So it's created me that pivot table. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my main table. I'm going to keep Copilot on. And I'm going to ask Copilot, I want to see basically a couple of columns of year-on-year growth between those years. So 21 to 22, 22 to 23, etc. It was quite simple, so I wasn't like too in depth, but it still understands. It's getting highlighted at the moment, as you can see on the left-hand side. I said I wanted it in percentages. You might want it in actual amounts, like pound amounts, etc. Again, gives you the formula. Hopefully you get the idea now. Click on insert column and it's embedded it within your table. So now we can see exactly how much has increased and decreased between each year, or between both years. So you can see what's doing well and what isn't. Okay, so I've told you a couple of different capabilities within Excel. I'm going to go a little bit more advanced now. So there is something called Copilot agents. An agent is basically creating something a bit more job role specific. So maybe you want to plug in loads of previous invoices, for example, and maybe extract the information and put it onto a CSV file, etc. Okay, that is a specific job, and that is what an agent will do. Okay, so you can build it from the ground up if you wish. It does have code interpreter within agents now, so it does understand Python coding, or obviously different types of formulas, etc. But also, Copilot has created out of the box agents as well, so you don't always have to think, what agent do I need to create? Copilot has created Microsoft has created something called Analyst, and as you can see at the bottom, once I play my video, I have clicked onto this little icon and I clicked onto Analyst Agent. And I'm basically asking Copilot, I've linked that revenue spreadsheet that you've just seen, and I've basically asked a little bit of a report and some visual representations as well. All of those little ticks is basically the reasoning process, so you can expand on it and try and understand what is Copilot doing whilst you wait. You are not going to get an imminent response with Analyst. It might take a minute or two because it's going to be a little bit more in depth. And I didn't actually tell you, but that revenue spreadsheet that you just seen was all around ice creams. So Copilot has picked up that it's quite seasonal. So we have a peak between May and August where we get the influx of revenue, because that's when we get sun in the UK. So coincidentally, that's when we start to make more revenue on ice cream. And as you can see, it's giving us a bit of an average between those months, and a little bit of a blurb again on the correlations. And if we keep scrolling down, it will give you different types of visual representations. Again, different to the ones that you've seen on Excel. So you don't actually need to share spreadsheets with your colleagues. You might even just want to, you don't even need to open it up at times. You can just link it to Analyst and get Copilot to create you a financial report like this, for example, and it would combine Word with visual representations rather than embedding it into your table. Okay, another agent that I want to talk to you about is Copilot for Finance. Okay, so I've spoken about Copilot for Excel. It can help you with your spreadsheets. I've spoken about Analyst. It can basically help you create a financial report. And Copilot for Finance is another out-of-the-box agent that can help you with data reconciliation. So this is how it looks. So I've got two tabs. Obviously, yours might be a little bit larger than mine, but I've got invoices for a customer. I've got the payments that I've received from that customer as well. And rather than clicking onto Copilot, I'm going to click onto Copilot for Finance. Don't worry, it does say preview, but that's because it was in preview when I recorded this, but it's not in preview anymore, so it will be accessible to you. This is the time when you can choose which columns you want Copilot to look at, so you can actually tell it to look at specific ones if it was quite a large table. And basically, Copilot is going to create you a reconciliation report. I have not fast forwarded this. It was literally in seconds. It created me another tab, and it's basically showing you discrepancies between invoice payments, the references as well, overpayments, underpayments, and on the right hand side it's giving you a written reconciliation summary which you can embed within your table as well. So you can create reconciliation reports a lot more quickly and understand why numbers aren't adding up, for example. Further to that, within Copilot for Finance, the same agent that I've just showed you, it can help you with your cash flow forecasts as well. So I've got basically our forecast numbers and also our actual numbers within this table. And I've clicked onto Copilot for Finance. I'm linking some extra data sets in order for Copilot to supplement that within before it does its workings out. And I'm also going to explain what I want it to do, basically. So I want it to look at those extra extra data sets, look into this specific spreadsheet, and I want it to look at December variances of anything that's basically decreased of over 10%. And as you can see, Copilot has highlighted the areas where it has decreased. It's given me a written summary on the right-hand side as well. And you can go a lot further than this. So although this video is soon going to end, you will also be able to link this to your CRM. So a Dynamics Finance CRM or an ERP system like SAP or Oracle, for example, in order for you to have more of a seamless experience of extracting information from a financial system into Outlook or into Excel, etc. And it would also help you draft emails based on chasing payments, for example. Okay, so it can help you with cash flow forecasts, it can help you with data reconciliation reports, and PowerPoint. This is a little bit strange because some people might shy away from PowerPoint if you're always in Excel and you no longer have to. So what I'm basically going to do is I've linked the first spreadsheet all around bakery goods, and I've asked Copilot to create me 10 slides or up to 10 slides to understand, the stuff that are positive, negative, any kind of visual representations. You don't necessarily need graphs in your spreadsheet for PowerPoint to actually create you graphs. PowerPoint would do it itself. You can choose whether you want your images or your company images, your company branded templates. Mine is going to be a little bit more general. And Copilot is, as you've seen 10 seconds ago, it created me a bit of a framework because it was just a spreadsheet. And now it's created me a presentation. Again, this has not been fast forwarded. This is in real time. And it's basically created something a little bit more presentable that you might want to share with your stakeholders or somebody that doesn't necessarily sit in finance, but you just want to show them, what's doing well and what isn't doing well within the business. So link Excel spreadsheets to PowerPoint and Copilot will convert it into a presentation for you. So conscious of time, hopefully you're all still with me. So a key takeaway would be GCSE in terms of not bringing you back to school, in terms of how you can actually start to get the most out of Copilot. And this is just a quick example. Goal is tell Copilot what you want. I want a financial report. Tell Copilot why. That's the context bit. Why do you want that report? Well, to help me prepare for a meeting with client X about their financial performance in Q3, etc. Source is where do you want it to look? In this case, a spreadsheet, maybe a Teams transcript. And also, how do you want it presented? What kind of target audience do you have? So I want simple language with less than 800 words. I want it for myself. Okay, so the language would be slightly different depending on who the target audience is. So key takeaway would be GCSE. A lot of inspiration. So I've showed you basically a whistle stop of how Copilot works within so many different areas of Microsoft, but you can get some more inspiration from something called a scenario library. It will give you a day in the life as somebody that works in finance, how they're utilizing Copilot within different applications. And there's also an ebook as well, specifically for finance to get you even more inspiration. So you can just click onto certain scenarios and then it will walk you through different types of step-by-step guidance, basically, on what to do within those scenarios, what prompts to use. There's even sample reports that you can test it out on rather than on your own report initially until you're comfortable with it. So a lot of resource available. Now, next steps I would say is to reach out to your account manager in order to understand where you sit as an organization at the moment in terms of Copilot readiness. Is your organization ready to take on Copilot and based on data governance and security? And they will provide that report back to you in terms of where you're at and where you need to be before they give the license to you. And there's also, this is a really good time to join because there's a lot of promotions. It's probably the most amount of Copilot promotions that are running at the same time up until the end of March. So I've said up to 35 just because I don't know what kind of licenses you guys are on, but your account manager will basically guide you through which ones you're eligible for. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found that useful. I'm going to pass the mic back to Vicky.
Thank you so much, Angela. It's actually amazing to see how far Copilot has come along since its first release, especially with how quickly those reports are generating for you. But if anyone has any questions, please just pop them in the chat. I have also sent in a link to the sign up page for our other departmental webinars if you did want to come along to the others. So we've got sales and operations this week coming up. So let's have a look if there's any questions. Apologies that we have overrun everyone. No one's put anything in, Angela, which is great because it means that you showed it exactly how everyone needed it. I will send the recording out to you all, and if you've got any questions, like Angela said, please just get in touch with your account manager or anyone at Cobweb, and we'd be more than happy to help. But otherwise, have a lovely day, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.